So today we're going to do a massive unboxing of pretty much everything that Samsung announced in their most recent event. That includes this Galaxy Z Fold 4, the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, and the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro as well, and also a standing cover that came with the Fold itself. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. So first we're going to start out with the big boy, the Galaxy Z Fold 4. The main reason why you're probably here and the main reason why I'm excited for this whole unboxing. So first things first, obviously the box is pretty thin, so it looks pretty much how the Z Fold 3 came in a pretty thin box. So I'm assuming there's not much in here, but one thing I do want to know is that it doesn't have the nice pull tabs that other manufacturers have, like Apple, even Google, and I think OnePlus might have them too. So you still have to bring out your handy knife to be able to open up these stickers. So let's go ahead and open this up. So I did get the gray green colorway and the 256GB model. That's because Samsung was doing a really nice promotion where you could pay for the base model and still get the 512 model. So that was a no-brainer. So let's go ahead and pop this open. Ooh, nice. So inside the box here, you also get a little tab here that looks like it might contain all your paperwork. Yep, looks like it's, oh, that's actually kind of nice the way they package it here. So, oh, there goes the guide there. So you got the guide, the SIM card slot, and your USB-C cable. So pretty nice and actually pretty neat the way they package it here. So let's go ahead and put this aside. And then here's the gray green. I actually kind of like it. It's like a subtle teal, a very subtle teal. So the sides are glossy now, it looks like. Oh, nice. I don't know if I liked it or not. I like the matte size of this Z Fold 3, not gonna lie. I prefer that. But at least the back is matte. But let's go ahead and take this little plastic off. Ooh, nice. Already got a couple specks of dust on there. This feels a little bit different in the hand. It definitely feels a little bit lighter. Let's go ahead and turn this on. So while it's turning on, if it has juice, please tell me you have battery. Oh God, you don't have battery? Oh, there we go. All right, so it's got some battery. Let me whip out the Z Fold 3 here. Don't see any major subtle differences. As you can see, they pretty much look the same. This is like the green colorway that they had. Actually, you can tell how much smaller the edges are here on the front display, and even on the back here. You can see how much smaller. I guess that's part of the hinge. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can definitely see a little bit of a difference compared to the Z Fold 3 and the Z Fold 4, where the Z Fold 4 does seem to have a very slightly smaller hinge in both width and looks like height as well. The sides also seem a bit flatter compared to the Z Fold 3. That might just be me. I was right, just by a little bit, not by a ton. The Z Fold 4 does feel a little bit lighter in the hand. All right, so well, this we'll set up in a second. I want to take a look at the standing cover with the SPen case that came with the pre-order bonus. Okay, so looks like that's all you get in the box. You get little instructions on how this works, the case itself, both the front and the back parts. So it is a two-piece case in case you didn't know. You also have, looks like, extra little SPen nibs or whatever you call them, tips. And the SPen itself comes in a different box as well. Oh geez, doesn't come out as nice. All right, there we go. Got them in a little pocket type style. So pre-installed looks like it's the kickstand back part or back piece. So it's pretty soft in the hand. Putting it on, snaps on. Now the front one does come with little pieces of adhesive they have to peel off and stick on. That's one of the things I hate about cases with the Z Fold 4. I don't know if I'm gonna do this right away, but I'm just gonna put it on without putting the adhesive on, and it definitely does make your phone a little bit chunkier. That's what you should expect with any kind of case, but since the Z Fold 4 is already a little bit of a thicker phone compared to most phones, it does make it feel a little bit chunkier in the hand, but it does feel pretty comfortable. As far as swapping this out, I'm not sure how this works. Does it slide or how does this work? Oh, it slides. Okay, so you slide it off, and then you slide on the S Pen, and boom, there you go. But this is an improvement on Samsung's old case for the Z Fold 3, so let me go ahead and whip that out. So this one right here was Samsung's take on the Z Fold 3 to be able to carry your S Pen around. This case is just hot garbage. I did not like it. One, this flip cover was so unnecessary. There was no need to make it a flip cover. And the fact that it was on the side, it wasn't that big of a deal if it was on the side, and you can take this off easily, similar to how you can here as well. But it's just the fact that it was a flip cover case. I just wasn't a fan of that. It just made it annoying to use. Like, you couldn't really do this. Like, I don't know. It was just annoying. It didn't protect your phone that well. It wasn't a fan of it. So this is definitely an improvement compared to this. But of course, you don't get that hinge protection that the flip cover case did have. So take that as you will, whether you prefer to have a protective hinge area or have your hinge free. So that's definitely honestly the case with most cases when it comes to the Z Fold series. You know, there's going to be cases that do protect the hinge, some that don't, and it can be kind of annoying, and not to mention they're pretty expensive. So just keep that in mind as well. So let me go ahead and set this phone up, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit. Next up, I want to unbox the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. So I think the packaging might be a little bit different depending on if you get like a customized one. This one's only customized because it made me get like an extra band. So I chose the leather band. So that might be why it has like this bespoke little logo type of style on it. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. So it is the 45mm. There's only one size, and that's pretty much it. So I'm very curious to know how much of a difference it is from the Watch 4 Classic, which was last year's high-end smartwatch from Samsung. All right, so first things first. This I think was in here and it came right off. I think this might hold like your charger and stuff like that. So let's see. So looks like in here is your charger. Yep, your little charger. Does seem a little bit different from previous chargers. Like, seems like different material to me. Doesn't seems more like some kind of like metal or aluminum or something like that, but it's plastic. And then what else you get in here? And then your quick start guides. Otherwise, that's pretty much it inside the packaging here. So I'll just put this all aside. All right, so it looks like since I selected the custom leather band, you get it inside the box here. You also get 2 adhesive stickers, it looks like, in there. So the leather band, of course, it has a little piece of tape. Oh, just rip the shit out of it. Okay. Nice little leather band here. I chose leather band just because I already have these bands, so I figured I could just use the Watch 4 ones onto the Watch 5 here. Now for the actual Watch 5, that's all you get. Feels pretty light. I mean, the Watch 4 Classic was already lighter than like the Watch 3 Classic, but this feels kind of light. Now again, this is about the band too, so let me go ahead and set this up. You can use your old bands from your Watch 4 Classic if you're planning on trading in, and use them directly on the Watch 5 Pro. Boom, just like that. See if there's any juice. So right away, of course, there's no bezel here, so that's one of the big differences here. As much as I love this bezel, one of the things that I found was that whenever your watch got wet, for example, I just went out and got all sweaty, so my watch got a little bit wet, it gets a little bit like stiff, and you can tell it's a little bit dirty right now too, but it gets a little bit stiff, like if something got in between the bezel or something like that. But usually it's pretty smooth, but sometimes it can get a little bit stiff and it feels a little bit weird. So, but besides that, I think the bezel is king for a lot of things. It's very easy to navigate around with the bezel. So with this having now no bezel and just relying on the digital bezel, I mean, it's a little bit disappointing to see, but who knows how it'll be. So besides that, I mean, there are some small differences as well in the material. So as you can see, the back is mostly glossy, but now it's a little bit of a matte finish here. And of course I did get different colorways now. So I got the black versus the silver here being compared. I don't know why, but the Watch 5 does seem a little bit thicker to me. I don't know if it's just me, but it does look a little bit thicker. Honestly, with the band now on it, it does feel about the same weight kind of. So Yeah, not much of a difference going on between the two watches here, but as far as like the actual hardware, it looks like, I think there's supposed to be a new sensors on here as well, and the front screen is supposed to be sapphire now, so it's a little bit stronger, but besides that, I don't think there's a ton of huge differences. So let me go ahead and set this up as well, and then we'll talk about it a little bit at the end. Now finally, the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Let's see what we got in here. So I did have the Buds Pro back when they came out, what was it, like 2021? And I wasn't a huge fan of the fit. They kept sliding off and easily coming out of my ear, especially when I was running. The sweat would easily make them fall out. So I'm very curious to find out how these fit. The Buds 2 themselves also were okay in fit. Sometimes I had one of them start to come off as well. Oh God, this one's actually kind of more difficult. There we go. All right, so similar to every other packaging, you have some quick start guides in here. That's about it. And then in here you get the actual buds along with a cable. And I'm guessing extra ear tips somewhere in here maybe. I don't know how this comes off easily. I think this just gets ripped. Ooh, the case is matte. I like that. I like that the case is matte. These look more like a gray black than they look like. I forget what the color is exactly, but they look like a gray black to me. I'm an idiot. It is stuffed between the cable. Okay, so you do get extra ear tips in here. So I'm guessing this is probably small and larges, and then you also get your medium in the actual bud as well. So here they are. They do look a little bit different compared to the previous buds I've used in my life from Samsung. My favorite by far were definitely the original buds. Those fit so well on me and I miss it. So hopefully these fit a little bit better. They have like a little bit of a wingtip now, sort of. So curious to know how they fit. They fit in the case pretty easily. They don't seem to, kind of. Yeah, there you go. But I think they come out pretty easily. Yeah, they don't seem to stay on there really well with the magnet. But as far as the case itself, pretty nice, easy one-handed use as well. Now you gotta be a little bit careful because you could easily bump them off. But I definitely like the design of the case. Definitely a lot nicer. And it's a pretty similar size to like the Buds Pro and Buds 2, and I think even the Lives as well. So I think any case you might have already for these, if you use a case for the Buds, they should potentially work on this as well, which is pretty neat. So pretty consumer friendly there, because you don't have to go out and buy a new case unlike the phones. But otherwise, you know, I think it's pretty cool. So let me go ahead and set these up as well, and at the end I'll give you a first impressions of the sound. All right, so I've gone ahead and set everything up now. So I just want to give you my first impressions, so my raw impressions. I didn't want to wait till the next day because I was like, some things may wear off and stuff like that, so I'll leave that off for like the full review and whatnot. So I just want to give you my raw impressions here. So I also have lined up everything I'm upgrading from or upgrading to. So for example, the Z Fold 3, I'm upgrading to the Z Fold 4, the Watch 4 Classic, upgrading to the Watch 5 Pro, and then the Buds 2, upgrading to the Buds 2 Pro. So starting off with the Buds, honestly, I am actually very impressed so far. The audio sound from this sounds really good. Music is actually really good quality. It's very loud as well. Bass is pretty good as well. The only thing I did notice but wasn't the greatest was the active noise canceling. I could still hear a couple things in the backgrounds when I was listening to music and stuff like that, but besides that, I thought it sounded really good. And the fit, the fit is really nice as well. They fit very nicely in my ear, and they're also very lightweight. So I am actually very excited to use these more. And as I already mentioned earlier, with the case being matte, I just like that as well. So I'm very impressed with the Buds 2 Pro right now. The Buds 2 were okay. They fit okay. The sound quality was okay. It wasn't a terrible pair of earbuds, but compared to the Buds 2 Pro, there's definitely an improvement there. So I honestly think if you have the Buds 2 and you're looking for an improvement, the Buds 2 Pro are going to be a nice upgrade. And as far as the watches here, the Watch 5 Pro versus the Watch 4 Classic, as far as the hardware, the big major thing is definitely going to be that there's no more bezel on the Watch 5 Pro. And I did find myself trying to use a bezel on the Watch 5 Pro. I kept trying to rotate it, but I couldn't rotate it, so I had to get used to. The digital one is definitely going to take a couple of days before I get used to it. But besides that, most of their stuff is the same. So the buttons are in the same spot. They do the same thing. So they'll have the home button and you have the previous button. And then you also have pretty similar software. I think the Watch 5 Pro does have slightly newer software software, but there's only ever so slightly small differences here. So the watch face here that I have set up on both watches is the exact same one, but you can see that the Watch 5 Pro has the ability to add a couple extra features or elements, whatever you want to call them, to the sides of the watch itself. So besides that, there's not much that I noticed. I also noticed a couple different like elements that are different in the settings and stuff like that, but not huge enough to make a huge difference as of now. I think there's also different apps you can download now on the Watch 5 Pro compared to the Watch 4 Classic software that is running, but all these software things are definitely going to be, I'm assuming and I would hope, and eventually end up on the Watch 4 Classic, if not already. So I definitely don't think that the software won't be a big of an issue. If anything, it's just that bezel that's going to be missing. That'll be a big deal breaker for some people, and for some people it'll be like a blessing that it's no longer there, because like I mentioned earlier, I did notice that sometimes the bezel itself did get a little stiff or sticky kind of feeling after it got wet or something like that. But besides that, it is pretty comfortable in the hand, the Watch 5 Pro. Both of them are pretty comfortable. I think they're about the same weight. If anything, the Watch 5 Pro is just ever so slightly, just a tad bit lighter. But besides that, honestly, both of them feel pretty comfortable, and they both feel and look pretty premium to me. I would say the Watch 5 Pro definitely looks a little bit more sporty compared to the Watch 4 Classic, but depends on what kind of watch you're looking to get. But besides that, I don't have much of a difference or much to say about these two, because I haven't really used them for a long time, I should say. So I don't really know how it does on battery, which is one of the big things I want to try out, and also how it does as well as far as detecting your steps and workouts and stuff like that. So besides that, that's pretty much it on the watches. Now, as far as the phones, the Z Fold 4 definitely feels like a small upgrade or refinement compared to the Z Fold 3. You're not going to get anything revolutionary here, anything brand new and crazy. What you're getting here is basically a Z Fold 3, but better. So basically, the aspect ratio definitely feels a bit better on the front. The display feels a bit wider. It is a little bit smaller as far as the height, but it definitely feels a little bit wider, which is good. So the typing experience is going to be slightly more comfortable. Won't be the best compared to like a regular phone, but it definitely is a little bit more comfortable compared to what the Z Fold 3 was like. The inner display feels, again, it is a little bit smaller as far as the height, but it doesn't feel much wider. It's supposedly just a tad bit wider, but definitely feels still pretty comfortable in the hand. The phone itself feels very comfortable in the hand as well. It's not as heavy as the Z Fold 3 was. It's definitely a tad bit lighter, and the materials as well is a little bit different here. So obviously, like I mentioned earlier, it's glossy, and it feels a little bit flatter as well, which I kind of like. It feels a bit better, and the hinge honestly feels just about the same. If anything, the Z Fold 4 feels newer, so it is going to be a newer hinge compared to the Z Fold 3, but the Z Fold 3 hinge is still pretty good as of now. And as far as like performance and stuff like that, it's got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus or Plus 1, whatever it's called. So good performance, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 of storage on board here. So you're gonna get a good performing phone here. The crease does feel a bit less intrusive in my opinion. Like you can see it as much as you can see on the Z Fold 3, but you don't feel it as much when you're scrolling your hand over it, which is pretty nice. Camera quality, or the under display camera here, you can't really see it either. If you have a black background or if you have a white background, you might see it a little bit, but it honestly is pretty much the same thing as the Z Fold 3 was. If anything, it's got a little bit more pixels there compared to the Z Fold 3, but still, it doesn't bother me, so no big deal there either. As far as the software, slightly improved software on here, so anything that I talk about as far as software, I am sure at some point the Z Fold 3 will get it. So that taskbar that shows up when you open up an app will probably end up showing up on the Z Fold 3 as well. I'm curious to know how I'll end up using it when I have the Edge as well, because I'm used to using the Edge to multitask, and the taskbar is supposed to enhance the multitasking experience. So curious to know how I adjust to that and how I use it, because it is pretty nice. I definitely like this device to be able to multitask, my favorite device to do that. So curious to know how that will end up going. As far as the camera quality, you are going to get slightly improved cameras here. So if you're going to zoom in with the camera here, you can go up to 30x now compared to the Z Fold 3 that was capped out at just 10x. With video, you can cap out at 12x, which is only 2x more improved compared to the Z Fold 3, because Z Fold 3 is only good to 10x, but you can record 8K now. So if you want to get the best quality there is possible, you can record 8K. But besides that, camera quality is pretty good. It looks pretty much as good as this 22 Ultra in my opinion, as far as like the quality, the crispness, the color. It looks pretty good in my opinion. You aren't going to get a terrible camera here. Same thing with Snapchat. And I noticed that the camera quality is much improved on Snapchat because you can actually use the ultra wide, you can use the telephoto to zoom in, and you actually get decent quality. Videos also look kind of decent as well, but I'll still probably have that issue with the aspect ratio, where if I'm not using the inner display to get the 16:9 aspect ratio, if I use the main full screen of the inner display, or if I use the outer display aspect ratio, it'll end up sending either skinny narrow snaps or big fat snaps. So that'll probably still be a complaint I end up having. But besides that, that's pretty much it that I noticed on the Z Fold 4. Not much of a difference, like I said, in the Z Fold 3, but it definitely feels a little bit refined and a tad bit better in small different ways. So I'm excited to use this. I definitely think this is getting closer and closer to replacing like a daily phone. I thought the Z Fold 3 was enough, but I came across just small minor things that annoyed me that I ended up deciding that it wasn't great for my everyday usage, for going out and stuff like that. Definitely great to use for multitasking, but it wasn't enough to replace my everyday phone. So I think the Z Fold 4 is getting there. But besides that, that's been it. Leave me your thoughts on everything that I unpacked today, everything that I unboxed, all the new Samsung stuff, whether it be the phone, the buds, or the watch. I'll try and make comparisons, and I'll definitely be making reviews on all of these new devices. So let me know your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Other than that, that's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed.